Wow, was Bitcoin's $20,000 all-time high actually fake, as this crypto analyst is claiming? We will discuss this in the video. And with Bitcoin finding support at the bottom of this potential ascending triangle, what are the chances we're actually forming yet another pattern within this larger ascending triangle? And if we are, what does that mean for Bitcoin's price? There is clearly support at the bottom, and as we've gotten rejected off of this key line, and this key green line is much bigger than this ascending triangle, and much more important than this few week pattern. And as we discussed in yesterday's video, Bitcoin did find support over the last 24 hours at this blue line going back 7 years, guys. So this is crucial. What does this mean that it actually did find support here? And again, if this holds yet another higher low on the charts, what can this mean for Bitcoin's price? Are we bullish or are we bearish? And as well, Bitcoin's $10,000 level is huge. We've been getting rejected off of it for weeks on end. Now we're going to get into details about retail investors versus the whales versus the professional traders, guys. There's a lot of jam-packed information in this Benzinga article. Wow, and if that gets you juicy, make sure to stay tuned. Wow, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another extremely webisode of Bitcoin. We have a lot to delve into today, and specifically some really good information about why Bitcoin is failing so much at the $10,000 level that doesn't necessarily have to do with the TA. There's a lot of TA showing that, but we kind of cover that every day. So we're going to show you some fundamental reasons why this has been happening. And as well, we have a crypto analyst that we actually covered last week. Many people were actually talking about this. He was comparing a chart of the 2013 bull run, and basically he was stating that it's possible that we could see a $75,000 Bitcoin very shortly. And guys, we talked about that. We said that that didn't seem very likely. However, now this same individual is actually talking about how a $20,000 all-time high was fake. Very interesting stuff. So we have to see what he says here in this article. Can't wait to get into that. So guys, wow, lots to get into, and specifically some very interesting TA as well. So guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe, turn on the dings, leave a comment so you can enter for this Ledger Nano. And guys, without any further ado, let's jump into the goo-goo. Wow, so as always, we can start off here on the technical analysis. So this blue line, guys, if you've been watching for a while, you guys know exactly what this blue line is. And yet again, we've gotten a bounce there. We've had two slight bounces below it, dipping below it over the past month, back in the beginning of May and then towards the end of May. Now, currently where we saw the bounce yesterday, with the seeming correlation with the stock market, everything, Bitcoin did seem to find a bounce at a very key level. We talked about the inverse head and shoulders on the larger time frames. That's only likely, in my opinion, if we break 8,800, which we didn't, guys. 8,800 is basically all the way down here. We would have to break this green line that I have on here before that would happen, and we didn't get that. We're actually getting the bounce still right at this 7-year now trend line, which is very interesting. I think that's a perfect place to get it, and it's also exactly where the middle of this ascending line is on this chart. Guys, these lines have been insanely accurate, just simple parallel lines, but I mean, for the most part, they indicate very strongly where support and resistance is, and we're still within that. But more importantly, it lines up perfectly with this level, which I think gives a little bit of extra strength. You see this blue line converges with this blue line, and we see a lot of support right there. So that's one interesting thing I think it's worth taking a note of. And now on this chart, this ascending triangle is probably the most unanimous chart in crypto right now. A lot of people agree on it. It makes a lot of sense, I think. I mean, it's the only clear pattern. If we take a look at a lot of the basic patterns going on the charts, this by far is the one that seemingly seems to indicate what Bitcoin is abiding by in terms of its price action right now. So besides the fact that we have this green line slicing through it is the last 2.5 year resistance, guys. You can see that. We can go back pretty far there, all the way back to the beginning of 2018, end of 2017. So this green line slicing through that right here, we were above this for the past few days. Had our first break at the beginning of May, but then specifically ever since like June 3rd, we were trading almost entirely above this line. Now with yesterday's dump, we did actually go below it for the first time in quite a while, significantly. Now again, we also found support exactly where this trend line is. Okay, so this is our third major touch over the last month. Back at the beginning of May, then like towards the last 2 weeks of May, and then again just recently, almost pretty much the middle of June. Now, why this is really interesting as well is because we bounced there. However, now where we found our first level of resistance, really no surprise, is kind of this green 2.5-year resistance again. I mean, clearly that's going to flip as resistance if we break it for support. So we were barely hanging on for support for a little bit here. It was not very significant at all because we were still within this ascending triangle. But when we break down, we had that little bounce, and so far we're seeing a rejection right here, right around, let's see, this is right around 9,600. It's a little below 9,600. So again, guys, this gets lower every day. It's a descending line, but right about now it's about 9,570 is where the top of this resistance is. So we saw Bitcoin fail there, and currently we're trading within this pattern. So what does this mean? You usually want to have 2 to 3 touches on each side, and we only have 1 on each. So again, this is very early. If we come back down here and find support around 9270 or 9280 and bounce back up and find resistance around 9550-ish, then that could indicate, just verify this pattern completely. If we end up setting a lower low on this smaller time frame here and actually break below 9260 and then ultimately below 9,000, and if we would go down to 8,800, then specifically what we spent a lot of time talking about yesterday becomes much more in play. So what that would look like on this chart is if we broke right here. Okay, this is around 88. So again, we still have a significant amount to go, and this potential symmetrical triangle we were watching over the last few weeks that had a seeming break but really didn't do anything, we kind of broke back into it now and kind of bounced right here. If this ends up breaking out completely, and if we break this longer horizontal support around 8,800, I definitely could see us going significantly lower, guys. And as well, that's basically also where the point of control is on the VPVR. You can see this red line right here. For the past year, this is the last 365 days, this is it is the most substantial traded volume on this chart. This is the point of control right here. So again, right around 87, 88. And again, if we break that, I definitely think we'll probably be going down to about 8,000, anywhere between 8,000 and 8,150 or 8,200, which is also where the 200-day moving average is. Okay, very important there. So the 200-day is also right in that area there. So that being said, if we do complete this pattern, symmetrical triangles don't necessarily break one way or the other, so it'll be interesting to see if we can actually break again this 2.5-year resistance, because 10K right here has been incredibly hard to break. But more importantly, guys, the 2.5 year resistance that this green line represents has been even harder. This has been getting rejected for the past 2.5 years. 10,000's only been getting rejected for the past few months, as we've actually broken above 10,000 back in February, but it was short-lived. But we've actually broken 10,000 a decent amount of times over the past 2.5 years. However, this trend line, this green trend line, we have not been breaking substantially or for very long for the past 2.5 years. Now, here, Jack Martin posted on Cointelegraph, crypto analysts claiming Bitcoin's 20K all-time high was fake. So I just have a few highlighted points here. Cryptocurrency analysts suggesting the price manipulation behind Bitcoin's current and previous all-time high of 20,000 was actually fake. So what does he mean by that? Peterson is not promoting some half-baked conspiracy theory that Bitcoin all-time high never happened. He's just saying that it was caused by manipulation. Which, guys, also, I don't think anyone can really argue with that. I think it would be fair to say that basically all price action in Bitcoin and in stock, pretty much everything, has something to do with manipulation of some sort. There's usually some whale or some entity that does try to push the prices of assets to their preferred or their desired targets in order to make more money. I don't really think that's that far-fetched. I think there's manipulation in everything. But Timothy Peterson, the Cane Island advisor, actually is quoted as saying, only if supportive fundamentals, addresses, hash rates, and transaction counts should verify that, and other prices are not sustainable. A price differing substantially from the fundamentals was most likely caused by fraudulent price manipulation. Peterson defended recent comments about his $25,000 or $75,000 prediction within the next few weeks. He says here it's not really a prediction, but simply a hypothetical question of will history repeat itself. And his final prediction here is that Bitcoin will hit 1 million within the next 7 years, okay, by 2027. And then, guys, here, this Benzinga article published by Luis Aureliano, Bitcoin's $10,000 psychological level, retail investors versus whales and professional traders. So I just have one or two things highlighted here. Basically, talking about Bitcoin's psychological resistance at 10K. More importantly, though, Bitcoin whales and professional traders seem to be shorting 10,000 pretty strongly. However, retail investors seem to be under-allocating funds above 10,000. The counterbalancing effect of the market dynamics of buy and sell sides above 10K appear to be one of the main reasons it's stuck in this range. And the short-term fate of Bitcoin seems to be dependent on the two camps, whoever is able to exert the strongest market-making pressure. And that will force whichever side is successful to win. If the sell side pressure continues to rise, FUD might kick in and the price of Bitcoin might retest previous lows. It says here as well, if enough retail investors get into Bitcoin and manage to push the price above 10.4K, it could spell doom for whales and professional traders who have a margin exposure, thereby forcing them to start covering their trades and could trigger a short squeeze in the cryptocurrency that could end up being a self-fulfilling prophecy. And guys, we are getting ready to head into the weekend. Again, I don't think a lot of people really like weekend trading. It's kind of irrelevant. Price can go crazy and then immediately go back to where it left off on Friday. Guys, the CME gaps, I have to say, I'm a pretty firm believer that they usually close. Again, not all the time, but they usually have a pretty big impact on the price. And guys, as well, if you're interested in getting crypto from another source, check out our link to crypto.com, pinned to the comments and in the description below. And as well, we still are doing our final sale on version 3 of T4. Check it out in the comments. You can do a free preview in the description as well. Without any further ado, guys, make sure to drop your comment for the ledger. If you made it this far in this video, make sure to smash a like. Let's see if we can hit 1,200 likes in this video. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.